Alright! Company, love to see it. This is Heaven's Basement. Place where I, Jones, your host, talks about everything D&D, writing, and TTRPGs. Well, either that or whatever's funny at the time. Who knows? Anywho, over the past few years now, I've spent an ungodly amount of time playing and writing wacky characters for my fans. Now, am I good at that? Kinda. But I didn't waste most of my teens doing all of that instead of paying attention in school for nothing. So, if you want to see someone like me yell into the infinite void about how not to suck at D&D, role-playing, or, writing as a whole, then chances are you've stumbled into the right place. Anyway, welcome to Dungeons and Doofuses, where we talk about those little things in the story that make them just a tiny bit more interesting. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something we all like to do from time to time, or at the very least want to do more of. Be cool. So, coolness. We all know what it is, but what does actually being cool mean? Like a lot of things, coolness is a matter of subjectivity, and it's hard to quantify in exact terms, so we often attribute coolness to displays of style, power, or confidence. However, in media as a whole, tell me if what I'm about to say sounds familiar. There's a show, movie, whatever you're watching, right? They introduce a new character, and it's clear that whoever wrote it wants you to think the character is cool. So, they write them doing something the audience, or at least what they think the audience would describe as cool. Problem is, this ends up having the exact opposite effect: lameness. Lameness is insincerity, the exact opposite of coolness. Now, I believe there's a reason why we call lame characters frauds. They're trying to be something they're not. They're fake, insincere. Their claims contradict their actions and behavior. They're frauds. Now, that's not to say frauds don't have their place. Many well-written antagonists have been fraudulent by nature. But that's a topic for another video. Now, let's get into why we're really here. Let me introduce you to something I call the law of conservation of coolness. Besides all that other stuff, the power, the style, the confidence, a character's ability to drag their nuts across the ceiling without any consequence, I believe there are two aspects of coolness which I feel are the most important: sincerity and emotional resonance. You see, just like how courage can't exist without fear, sincerity cannot exist without insincerity, and without the existence of characters or actions that are lame, there cannot be characters or actions that are cool. Coolness is not just a trait you can slap onto something. It's a collection of traits and actions that complement each other. Same goes to lameness. The main philosophy behind the law of conservation of coolness is that the less something tries to be cool while still being cool, the cooler that thing will be in comparison to something that's actually trying to be cool. Oftentimes, in D&D, TTRPGs, and fantasy as a whole, we joke about the basic human fighter and how bland they often seem in comparison to other character archetypes. But, because of that, when the basic human fighter is done well, much of their coolness lies in that very simplicity. Fighters, by design, are one of, if not the easiest class to understand in Dungeons & Dragons, and any other TTRPG for that matter. Barbarians and their equivalents being up there as well. Because of that, while they may not have as much in terms of abilities as their caster and half-caster contemporaries, they can make up for that with a focus on character depth and motivation. Think of it like having a puddle that's as deep as an ocean and an ocean that's as deep as a puddle. With the puddle-deep ocean, it might look like there is more water, but once you step in, you're only about knee-deep in water. And after about 10-15 minutes of walking, you eventually get tired and head back home and decide you have something better to do with your time. Or maybe you don't, maybe you're into that. That's the funny thing about taste, it's subjective. But with the ocean deep puddle, in my opinion, while it may not look like much, you don't know how deep it goes and you don't know what might be hiding underneath. Now, that isn't to say that complexity can't be cool either. But in the hands of a less experienced writer or player, finding traits that make a character cool become less clear. I'm not saying it isn't cool seeing somebody go knucking futz with a giant laser beam and launch meteors around, but sometimes you just want to see a good old-fashioned ass whooping. And you know what? That's okay. There's a reason why underdog stories have always been so popular. It's cool seeing someone use what little they had to their fullest extent, and go up against somebody who has a lot more than them. That struggle, it's something we relate to, and whether or not they win or lose, it's a part of us that wants to be more like them. And that's because, despite all of their shortcomings, they still gave it their all. And there's this part of us, as people, that wishes we could do that. What they could. Now that is cool. What I think is the biggest mistake people make when trying to make a cool character is writing them in such a way that they're only cool under certain conditions. Think of it like this: coolness and action are a lot like the inverse of skill and talent. Talent is a skill multiplier. People with talent sometimes end up being better with someone who has little talent but a lot of skill. However, that person can only be taken by talent so far. Eventually, without proper training, that skill of the other person will outweigh the talent of the other person with talent. Coolness, on the other hand, is multiplied by action. Someone can be cool by themselves, but that won't be enough. If someone wants to be perceived as cool by a wider audience, they also need feats to back up that coolness. What I'm trying to say is, by breaking down the character to the base components, you can figure out what makes them cool to begin with, and then, by focusing upon those aspects, they can be made even cooler. That is why, in my opinion, characters who manage to be cool with less, but cooler than characters while still cool in their own right, need more to be cool. So, for example, take Rock Lee and Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto, and Toji Fushiguro and Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen. Sasuke is one of the last surviving members of the Uchiha clan. Not only that, but he's also the younger brother of one of the most prodigious ninja to ever exist in the world of Naruto, Itachi Uchiha, who not only joined the ninja special forces to Anbu at the young age of 12 or something, he also wiped out almost the entirety of the Uchiha clan at the age of 13. Similarly, Gojo's birth quite literally shifted the power balance in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, being born with abilities so absolutely busted they only pop up every few centuries at most. Now, these abilities in question are the Six Eyes, which, in short, allow Gojo to have ultra-precise control and see the flow of cursed energy, which, simply put, is the basis for the show's power system. On top of that, we also have Limitless, which uses cursed energy to slow down attacks and projectiles coming at the user, creating an infinite amount of space between them and the attacker. Essentially, this makes them untouchable. As most weeaboos these days with experience in watching shonen anime would know, Rock Lee was born with almost a complete inability to use Genjutsu and Ninjutsu effectively. These two technique categories are more or less the system that is the basis for much of the fights in Naruto. However, because of his strong desire to become one of the greatest ninjas in history, what Rock Lee did was he exclusively trained Taijutsu, the third category of techniques that focuses entirely on physical combat. Similarly, Toji Fushiguro, formerly known as Toji Zanin, was born into the Zanin clan, one of the most influential families of sorcerers in Jujutsu Kaisen. Upon first glance, it's not too hard to note some superficial similarities between Sasuke and Toji. For example, they both have black hair, they both specialize in the use of bladed weapons, and, of course, they both are members of some of the most powerful clans in their respective series. However, upon further introspection, Toji and Rock Lee, despite having numerous differences in personality, have more in common due in part to their powers. They both make up for the lack of a fundamental aspect of their series' power system with overwhelming physical strength. This is because of Toji's heavenly restriction, a trait in which people in Jujutsu Kaisen can be born with and trades one attribute that they would have had upon birth in exchange for some kind of boon. In Toji's case, in exchange for immense physical strength, he was born with a complete lack of cursed energy, and because of this, he faced ridicule from his clan and quickly left as soon as he could. Case in point, we have Toji's first fight with Gojo. Because Gojo is reliant on the 6 eyes to track his opponents, he was unable to track Toji because he has no cursed energy. That, in tandem with the cursed tools Toji used to bypass Limitless, Gojo, who was completely unprepared for the fight, got absolutely fucking folded. On a similar note, Sasuke, who uses his clan's technique, the Sharingan, to predict and copy his opponent's moves, was caught off guard by Rock Lee and how quickly he was moving so fast that even with the assistance of the Sharingan, he was unable to react to Rock Lee's movements. Because of this, during his next fight in the Chunin exam, Sasuke had to reevaluate his approach and then use that exact same combo Rock Lee used on him in order to win his fight. Now, my question to you as an audience is, how badly do you need to get your ass beat to realize that maybe the guy you were fighting had a point? Exactly. In any case, all of this is to say that coolness isn't just the absence of lameness. It is also the acknowledgement of one's lameness and the measures one takes to compensate for it. And while Toji and Lee may not be as popular as Sasuke and Gojo, they are still beloved throughout their respective series' fanbases. And why is that? The law of conservation of coolness. Well, that's all the time we have left for today. So, if this video helped you and you want to see more videos like this, or if you just want to help the channel grow, remember to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon once you do. Until next time, stay cool.